Now it's time to work on more advanced requests in Postman. That is SOAP requests. So what is SOAP? It's not that SOAP. Okay, just kidding. So Postman can make HTTP calls using SOAP, SOAP, a platform independent messaging protocol specification. It's a messaging protocol specification. So what will we do is we will do the following activities. We will enter the SOAP requirement, SOAP endpoint, then we will add body data, then we'll set our request headers and we'll send our request. Okay, let's begin. And after that we will explore more, more public API, public SOAP requests. Okay, so first we'll begin with entering our SOAP endpoint. So let me get into Postman as usual and click on new. I will go with the HTTP request only and I will enter the first SOAP request. So I'll put it in post and I'm gonna say HTTPS web services HTTPS www.dataaccess.com web services server number conversion.ws4. This is what the endpoint that I'm gonna use. Just check it here. Okay, so now I'm gonna click enter. So this SOAP endpoint changes the numeric values. Basically that's what the one service we are going to take, but for here we'll just click on here and we'll see what activity it's going to do. So we have sent a request and we got the response. Okay, so this is unsupported media type, that's fine, but we got the response, we got the proper response. Of course it's unsupported media type. Let me click on this is pretty. Here you will have the complete piece of code that is responded. That's the message which is sent by the SOAP. So this is a complete, you see that, you can see the complete message. It's a message, it's HTML message with CSS styling rules. So then if you can see the complete raw of HTML and CSS. Here you can see the preview. Okay, and you see that this is what I'm talking about. So that responds with this, that responds with this. So number conversion service, what's this here? A number conversion service you can see, and then the following operations are available in this service description. That's number 2 words and number $2 and more and more. So more they have. So we will look into one by one. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll show you all the SOAP APIs that I have collected. So let's begin with the numbers. It consists of a numbers SOAP API, calculator SOAP API, continents and countries and currencies, languages, book ISBN, and temperature, a lot more. So we will explore each and every SOAP API one by one, and then finally we will wrap up with these activities. So what is a SOAP API? And before we jump into that, what is a SOAP API and what is a REST API and what's the difference between SOAP API and REST API? And I would like to elaborate on that front also before we jump into any further activity. So this is the old age question. So what is the difference between a SOAP and REST APIs, and which one is right for my project? So just because our name is SOAP API, that name is SOAP API, it doesn't mean that we also don't know what we are talking about when it comes to explaining RESTful web services and API. So here, so SOAP versus REST, the term web API generally refers to both sides of computer systems communicating over a network. The API services offered by a server as well as the API offered by the client, such as the web browser. The server side portion of the web API is a programmatic interface to a defined request response message system and is typically referred to as a web service. There are several design models for web services, but the two most dominant are SOAP and REST. So SOAP provides the following advantages when compared to REST. One is language, platform, and transport independent. REST, whereas REST requires use of HTTP, and SOAP works well in distributed enterprise environments, and it's a standardized one, and it provides significant pre-built extensibility in the form of the WS standards. Whereas REST is easier to use for the most part and is more flexible. It has the following advantages when compared to SOAP. One is uses easy to understand standards like Swagger and OpenAPI specification 3.0. It's smaller learning curve. It's very easy to handle. Whereas SOAP is pretty difficult, so fast. Whereas response-wise, REST is pretty fast and closer to the web technologies and design philosophy. So, in a nutshell, a SOAP is a server side portion of web API is a programmatic. So this is a server side portion of dealing with web API. So what it does, it's a programmatic interface to a defined request response message system and is typically referred to as a web service only. So this is one of that model, SOAP. Okay, so now let's look into the more concepts in this. So let's get into numbers endpoints. So numbers product numbers section of SOAP API. So just let's look into this. For example, the SOAP API is the main base URL. Inside that we have different sections: numbers, calculator, continents, countries, currencies, languages, book ISBN numbers, and temperatures. So in that each section we have a different endpoints. These are called endpoints. Now let me begin with number 2 words with this endpoint, and I'll show you. See, this is number 2 words endpoint and number conversion dot WSO. So I'll click on send, and here is the response that we got. This is a pretty one, a nicely made XML. Here you have a response, a raw one, and here we got the preview one, exactly what we want. So what it does is it converts the number in word format to the number in it converts a number to the number in word format from example 700 to 700. So let me show that in pretty. So here you see the 700 to the world result. Okay, so preview, let me click on a body type here. So what will we do is, you see that this is the request, this is the raw body, this is what is mentioned here. So this 700 will be converted into the, let me bring it up and come to the body here. This is a response body, this is the request body. Okay, a request body, let me put it pretty, and here you see that 700 has been converted into the a word format. Okay, and that only you can see here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do changes in this body. So I'll put it as 1000, and let's see what's going to happen. And let me send a request again, and here is that, it's a 1000. So that's the power of this. So let me change it to the very complicated one, 1231. And here is that 1231. Fantastic. This time I'll put a random number, whichever that comes to my mind, so that it would be helpful. You can use this API. Okay, it's huge. 125 quadrillion, 750 trillion, 200 and 750, 50 billion, 205 million, 702,570. That's it. So this is how you can use the SOAP APIs for this kind of normal activities or simple tasks. This is one, and we will look into another SOAP API endpoint, that is number $2. So let me click on send again and come to the pretty one, a preview. You see that $500. Let me click on body, and this time I'm gonna change it to uh, 5,784 and click send, and here is that $5,784. You see that $5,784. Similarly, we will look into another section of the SOAP API, that's calculator. So we have 5 endpoints in this calculator. One is add, then number $2, divide, multiply, subtract. Let's begin with the add. So let me send it and come to the preview. So 500, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into body. So I will change this to 600, and yeah, we have to add one more. So we are in number conversion, no, add. So let me close this number $2. Yeah, that's okay. Number $2, and let me click on body 500. I'll put it 600, and let me get the response. Headers is okay, body and preview. Yeah, $600. You just mentioned the 600 here, and you got the $600. And similarly, we'll get into the body again. So we have two ints, int A, int B. So let me give int A 10, int B 2, and see what's going to happen. So okay, 15, it took 15. So I'll change it to 10, and I will execute it and get into a preview. You see that it's 10 divided by 2, it's 5. It's absolutely working well. And we'll do the multiply. We'll work at the multiply endpoint. So with this, one thing will also be very clear for you. So how this, what's the difference between an endpoint and a section and a base URL. So everything would be damn clear for you. Okay, so here I will go to the body again. So multiply again, I'll put it 5 times 5 times 10. So let me send it and preview. Here is that 50. 5 times 10, 5 tens is 50. And subtraction, you can do that here. So let me click on body again and check 5 minus 5, and let's see. And here is the value 0. And similarly, you can attach other endpoints to this to do the more complex tasks. So let me bring down this. So this is, you can see that this is a different endpoint, DNE online calculator.smx. So let me click on this, and you see that calculator section and this endpoint. You get that data access, and this is the different endpoint, and this is the different endpoint. Now let's get into the another section of the SOAPs API, that's a continent one. So continent one is absolutely different endpoint, it's somewhere else. So let me click here to get the continent, and let me go to the preview, and here you see Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Europe, Oceania, Americas. If you want a specifically list of continents by name, that's it. This is what is given here. And similarly, we have a countries, endpoints. Let me click on list of countries by name and click on send. And let me bring it up a little bit and then click on preview. And here is the countries names. And let me scroll down a bit and let me bring it up more. And here it is. Everything you can find out. Rwanda, Sri Lanka, India, Bharat, and more and more and more. Okay, and capital city of a country, that's then another endpoint. Let me click here, and here is that preview. Washington, you have to mention that. Let me get into the body, and I'll give the country name where I want. So in spite of US, I'll say India. What I'm gonna happen, what's gonna happen, let's see. India, I think they need a US code. I think country code. That's okay. Country not found valid in this database. So you have to give the proper code. So let me do it again with the US. And this time Washington, UK. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. You have to give the proper. Then we have a currency for a country. Again, we require a code. We require USD dollar for this. This is the response we got, and we have to mention the specific code of that. We click on body, and yeah, you have to mention the country ISO code. So what we're gonna do is int. Yeah, we got some rupees. So let me get here to preview. Yes, int. It's an Indian rupees. And similarly, capital city of int. Let me do that for int. For int, the capital int, and here is the response: New Delhi, New Delhi. Then flag for a country. So let me get the response first, and we will do the modification. Get to the preview. So you just, if you click this icon, this you'll get the, you can use a visualizer. No, so this is the USA GPG. You got it here at this location. You can open it. So let me change it to the body and come here. So let me say int. Okay. Yes, and sign it. And here is the Indian flag. Here is that Indian flag. Mera Bharat Mahan. Okay. Then we have one more, that's international phone codes. Okay, let's explore this also. International phone code. Let me click on send. So here is that it's a one. The response is one for whom? Let me check. It's for US again. So I'll go for India. I'll go for Bharat. Bharat. Okay, let me send. And we got it. It's a 9-1. Perfect. So similarly, we have one more section. This is a currency section. So list of currencies by name. So let me click on send and we'll get the proper response. We'll get to the preview and you see that almost all currency types. All currency types. And let's get into the languages. Of course, India will have 1,000 languages. A lot of languages that you have never heard, even we do not know. So that many languages we have. But let's see. Maybe they'll say how many languages. Let me get into the preview. Yep. Okay, so where is my languages? Tamil, Kannada, so okay, Kerala, Kurdish, Kenya, Tanzania. Okay, okay, I don't find much here. Or Tagloga, Tonga, Tumka, Turkish, but I don't think they come. Yeah, here is that one language, Telugu, and other languages you'll find the Kannada here, Ka, and the same spot you should find Tamil. Yep, brilliant. That's nice. And we will look into the book ISB numbers and point. Let me click on send. and we got the response saying preview and true. And similarly, we have one more thing. Finally, we look into the temperature. We have Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. That's the conversion. Let's do that. So let me come to the body, and we normally say we use Fahrenheit. So that's what I'm gonna do is um, let me look into that. Yeah, here is that 75 degrees for Fahrenheit. No, it's I'll click on Celsius to Fahrenheit first because we use Celsius here. So we say we got a temperature of 108, so 102, 103. So it's high temperature. We fill up. So let's look into the what's the Fahrenheit counterpart of a Celsius. Celsius. Let me click on preview and 217.4. Proper. Perfect. Brilliant. So now let's do the Fahrenheit to Celsius too. So here I'm going to convert that 217 to 219 to Celsius. Let's see. And here it is. A preview 103. Triplet 9. Perfect. Brilliant. So that's how we use a public SOAP API or API which are very useful for us. And in addition to that, the more activities that you can is headers. In headers, you can find out all the headers. So you can change your headers, you can set your headers also. When you select an XML body type, Postman automatically adds a content type header as application XML. Application XML. So if you want, here it's application JSON, application SOAP plus XML. So if you want to attach another one, you can attach, or if you want to depend on your service provider, whichever they're providing, that is also fine. Or if you want to make it another one, you can make it text XML. So the set request headers, so we have different tabs. Let's look into the request header one by one so that you can have a clarity what is a request header. So here you can see that we have the content type, we have a postman token, and content length, host, user agent, accept, and accept encoding, connection, and content type. A lot of types. Okay. So if you want to delete the default one, and if you want to create, you see that a content type text plain, uh, it's been marked. Okay, if you want to do it your own, you can do that. Okay, you can do changes, you can do small changes in header, and you can work back on this again. That's what all on SOAP request for now.